getting dark and pouring rainstorm. Ruptured the tank, I had the propane all over my truck. Crushed my transmission pan, crushed my transfer case.
Somewhere in the truck.
I was pulled over beside the road. Found out where I could get some help. I was able to limp into town, found a place where I could buy some parts. Dropped my tranny pan, beat it down to where it wasn't clogging the intake up. The gasket did back up. The transfer case still ain't right.
She's in her second year.
Idaho. Quarterly. Yeah.
That's a bad.
She's a year in.
That was a bad deal. I had a car to the right, Jersey barrier to the left, pouring rain. I was in the passing lane, just a shade of the rain. Just that time of night when everything's the same color and you can't see nothing. Come around a turn of the road, there's that propane cylinder laying right there.
Lucky that puppy didn't spark.
Well, if it would have hit the catalytic converter, that's charcoal.
Let's call the meeting to order. We do have a plan to look at tonight, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, that's true.
So let's address that. Okay, did you get any information yet or not? You need it? Did you get?
Oh, yeah, I need a copy.
We can share.
Okay, the plan is from Moss Engineering, and it's for Lorna G. Plant subdivision. Is she here tonight? Representative? Okay. Is this just within the family? It's you break down the 1.176 acres, and then I mean this is like within the family, or you're selling it outright, or your plan?
No, she's selling it to us, the neighbors. We own the adjoining farm.
Okay.
That's the Yost farm?
Yes, that's
Okay.
right.
So you owned this at one time before?
Originally, not us, but it was part of the farm.
Part of the
We
farm.
purchased it, yeah.
That's, I wondered, it says reverted, so obviously it was gone back to original.
Yes.
Right. She's keeping the 1.176.
Pardon?
She's keeping the 1.176.
How are we with that?
I was just wondering why this is an issue.
All we're doing is turning back.
Any comments, or questions? We're in a motion to accept the subdivision as submitted.
Motion.
Tyler, second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Lee, seconded.
You made the motion?
No.
Tony did.
Oh,
Lee, seconded. You all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
We've got some signature sheets here we should take care of today. No, same one. Commission. Okay. It's, right here. Maybe the next page back.
We have one for these bylaws.
Probably eliminate one of the yells of Donald over there. I think that's funny. Yeah, it's all part of the subdivision here. Yeah.
Oh, so I misunderstood the street.
Right.
You want to sign that one? I don't know how many we need to sign, but. What?
Well, no, because they take everything to visual education.
Yeah.
And we've got their signatures on all the tabs, right?
There's only one signature spot for Keith,
Okay.
so as long as we sign them all. How did this happen? It's a puzzle.
Looks like that's that.
Just keep everything.
Well, it don't have to do, yeah.
Yeah, just keep everything intact.
You say that now, where's that?
Just
There it is.
just making sure it doesn't get mixed
There's
in.
2 copies of this for some strange reason, I'm not sure why. One's a copy. Go back in here. We're also supposed to discuss our next meeting with change. Did you let me know about that?
Everything's signed on, it'll be retained here and presented then to the supervisors at their meeting.
Okay.
You have anything you are presenting or?
That I'm presenting?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, Keith, I have a couple of
Pardon?
motions, I have a couple of motions to make.
Well, wait a minute, he's got Tammy gave us a note. Can you read that?
Yes.
Okay. Right, yeah, I already have. Yeah, just a note that next month's planning commission, due to the reorganization for the supervisors, that our planning meeting will be on the 10th, which will be the second Tuesday of the month instead of the first. So the next planning commission meeting, January 2017, will be on the 10th. Hmm? No, it's been changed for us.
Hmm.
That just takes care of 1 month.
Mhm. Yeah, we have a problem.
For next month?
No, not for next month,
Oh,
but the following month,
okay.
thereafter.
And you got anything additional?
That's the next thing.
What?
I said, that's the next thing.
Okay. And you said you had a couple motions?
Yes.
Proceed.
Don't take such a deep breath, Keith. Due to some circumstances with the Presbyterian Church, mainly session, it was in session, and Bob and Jody Noble, you notice Jody's not here tonight because she's having the session dinner tonight, and Bob's here, so we have enough for a quorum. We request that we move our meetings to the first Wednesday of the month. It won't affect next month, we've already moved that to the second Tuesday, which is fine. But from here after, we have our meetings on the first Wednesday of the month. Does anybody have a problem with that?
Yeah, that conflicts with another thing of mine, but we can, what's that?
We can't do the second Wednesday because that's when the supervisors meet. It has to be the first Wednesday of the month.
On Tuesday. It could be another Tuesday.
Yeah, it could
Does
be the
Monday
second.
work? I mean, we actually started one point with
Already
Monday.
making this one the second Tuesday for January.
Right.
I mean, if you change it to second Tuesday, it
Yeah.
would work for us. Just, since Jody and I have been on, that night conflicts
Right.
with both of us. And tonight, she chose to go there, and I said I'd come.
Right.
Yeah, so we do the second Tuesday of the month.
Does it have to be any certain distance before the supervisor meeting, or just as long as it's
Huh?
before?
Oh,
I won't be able to make a second Tuesday,
Okay.
I have post meeting that night. I'm the commander, I won't be there, so Thursdays, any Thursdays I can't be here because I'm at Hillman's. Second Tuesday of the month, I'm at the Cecil, post.
so that runs us back again to the
Monday?
first Wednesday of the month.
Well, what about Monday? I mean, there's times where it overlaps from weekends and all, were a conflict in the past. But more often than not, is everybody clear on the first Monday?
I'm not.
Yeah.
Can I just say something?
Sure.
Is there any problem with the end of the month, like the end of the month to be prior to the next month? I'm just asking. Like if it could be like the last of the month, you know what I mean?
For
And
the
then,
next, for their next meeting?
I'm just asking, would that work for maybe, like instead of trying to keep it at the beginning, make it towards the end of a month? Is that acceptable?
It really doesn't matter to me. It's just the first Monday is the fair board meeting. I mean, that only affects one person.
Well, no, I mean, if we get in sync with
Mondays
this,
affects two.
if we had the meeting, at, like,
Mondays
the-
almost always affect me.
if we had the meeting the last week of the month, then all business, of course, conducted at that point would be dealt with then at the meeting the following month by the supervisors.
That's fine.
Does that present a problem? So if we go to the fourth Tuesday of the month, I don't think there's any months that don't have 4 Tuesdays. So,
That sounds fine, that's fine, as long as there's no conflict of our process.
We'll have 1 month with 2 meetings to
I
get
mean,
us into
you're-
rotation.
You just, you're only talking a handful of days anyhow, the end versus the third.
What do you want to do?
go to the fourth Tuesday. Fourth Tuesday.
That seems to work.
That works for me.
How soon do we want to do that?
We can do it in January, 'cause,
Okay.
yeah, it puts them awful close together.
Yeah, well,
Well,
I mean, we're gonna have that somewhere along the
Yeah.
line.
It's okay.
So we would end up having, the proposal, the motion would be that the meeting to cover January per se would be the 10th as scheduled.
Mhm.
And then the meeting to cover February would be January 24th.
Right.
That's it.
Do you have any conflicts with that?
Nope, I know.
So do you want to make that motion?
That's fine. I'd make a motion, we move our meetings to the fourth Tuesday of the month.
Starting in January.
Starting in
so.
January.
January.
All right. You have a second?
A second, third, fourth, fifth.
All right. All right, so, any other questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
And my second motion, I'd like to see us bring more order, hopefully, more order to our meetings as we move into the planning and zoning part of this. To have an agenda when we come into the meeting. A written out agenda, says how we're gonna proceed with our meetings, where things are going to fit in, if there's any public comment, you know, if people have a chance to submit something, maybe submit something in writing before the meeting, so we have it in hand. Does that make sense?
Yes?
Yeah, I think we have to have structure if the meetings are gonna be timely.
Correct.
Okay, exactly how would you like me to write your motion?
I propose that we have an agenda at the start of our meetings,
A written agenda
and a written agenda.
that provides for public comment.
Do we wanna have a cutoff point for, so that we don't have last minute things clogging the agenda up? In other words, 24 hours prior to the meeting or something of that nature?
Yeah, I think that anybody who wants to make comment should be able to write those comments up and submit them,
Right.
so it's in writing.
Well, if there's gonna be a pre-prepared agenda for a meeting on a Tuesday, then the closure of any kind of things for the agenda is almost gonna have to be the preceding week
Correct.
at the latest.
So Friday of the at the end of business Friday, the preceding week, is when the agenda will be set.
And that's a minimum, it doesn't give whoever much time to put a written agenda, the agenda together.
Well, she does it the day of the meetings for the supervisors, doesn't she? It's on the day of the meeting, by noon, I think it is. Somebody has a
Shouldn't that
question?
be Jerry?
Who would you submit the questions to?
Family,
Kelly.
just address the planning commission, just like you would to the supervisor.
Yes,
The problem I see with that, following suit with the supervisors, is the fact that it's not a two-way street, that they don't put the agenda out for the people to see. So it's like, if you don't have a crystal ball, you can't put the cart ahead of the horse. If you don't know what's on the agenda and what they're gonna address, then the people can't come up with what they wanna ask to put their questions in writing, because that's the problem since this new rules of conduct have come out that's created a problem.
well, it's almost, again, since we're advisory and, you know, we're not approving, we just, providing information. The point is acceptable, but it seems like if you're gonna have questions like we're talking, that's still something that needs to go to the supervisors. I mean, it seems like almost anything that would come up would, or ultimately, regardless of what we had to say, would, the same question would have to be then turned around and addressed to the supervisor.
If we can.
So it really doesn't make a lot of sense to open up just general public comments for the planning commission.
That's true too.
Because there's
Well,
nothing
no,
we,
no, it does, because just like the questions they're asking now, look at the discussion that ensues from it. I mean, you gotta let people ask questions.
And that could be part of the structure.
well, that could be, you can. Yes.
Usually,
As long as you leave for comment at the end of the meeting, or as long as you accept questions, I don't think that's an issue. I mean,
Right.
as long as you accept questions, I don't think there'd be an issue.
Right, I agree.
well, and the normal rule of thumb for them is anytime that a motion is presented, you have to open it up for comment anyway. So, I mean, just like Lee did tonight, I mean, he made a couple of motions, which are, you know, great. You've had to comment on them, which, you know, again, I think that's, you know, but, you know, that's, if you don't, like I said, if they're not written out, we don't know what we want to comment on, or, you know, but I don't, you know, it's just kind of, but if we can't see the agendas, then it's kind of hard to prepare ourselves.
Can we create a template for an agenda and then accept public comment on that agenda or on the template before we enact that?
The first comment about the agenda was that they wouldn't be seeing the supervisor's agenda. because our meeting's earlier and blah, you know, and the time difference in meetings. I mean, that was, I thought, the first comment that was made.
No, they're saying that if we had Tammy just do it on the day of the meeting, they can't, the public cannot see it before the meeting. Like, that's what's happening at the supervisors meetings right now. And they-
So what you're saying is then, not only would we have to have the, like a deadline on the,
Agenda,
for input to the agenda,
yeah,
but the agenda itself then is gonna have to be,
posted online.
give
Well-
a timeframe, order, I mean, the order of what you're, they want comments, they can't make comments, as we're saying here, without knowing the agenda. If we put the agenda out, theoretically, that's the agenda. So then how are you gonna have, after they see the agenda, one of my comments, well, the agenda's already been made.
The
I mean,
agenda,
we
though,
can't
is-
have it both ways.
the agenda is only an outline, a method of procedure. The comments are there so that if people want to make comment during the meeting, it's already written out, we know, we can.
Yeah, but the agenda's not just an outline, the agenda is specific lists of things that will be covered at that meeting.
Right. But normally what we cover is, you know, our regular planning commission.
A plan, 2 or 3 plan reviews,
subdivisions,
whatever.
you know, things of that nature. The thing that I am trying to put into the process is as we move forward into this quagmire of the planning and zoning, do we have a method of doing that in an orderly fashion?
Yeah, the agenda, we already, everybody agrees an agenda is a great idea. The issue became, is
The
public
issue
questioning
became-
going to be part of the agenda or not? And it's hard to do that, like you said, makes more sense to have the questioning period during the meeting because the agenda needs to be completed and put out there and ready before the meeting. And then when that's done, fine, everybody will see what the agenda is. And then, based on that meeting and the agenda, there should be the public comment period. And if that agenda results in questions that people have, then the question can be presented. Yes.
I would think that each agenda item would be a motion to bring up an agenda item. And then when it was seconded, then it would be open to questions at that time for each individual item. I'm not sure I understand what this conversation is that you're having now. It sounds like you want to do an agenda, but only have like one block of commentary, where I would think each agenda item would have its own.
We're not gonna turn this meeting over to every single thing, every item, 1, 2, 3, 4, for public comment on each and every, like this plan tonight. Your statement implies that, well, okay, everybody here should have had a chance then to comment on that process.
I'm on the school board, and that's how we
Yes.
do it. Each agenda item is open for discussion if anybody has anything to say. Ordinarily, most people don't have anything to say, but each one is open for a comment, should somebody have a comment.
Up until this point of this discussion, the comments were from the different members who may see something that someone else missed. You know, discussion on the plan, how it's set up, is it okay, it isn't. I mean, that has been, doesn't mean it's gonna continue, but that has been the comment phase of any review, for example, is to make sure we're all on the same page and agree or not on, is something missing, does something need to be addressed, and so forth. I don't see where the public comment, like on a plan, for example, is gonna be,
Usually.
I don't see how it fits in to keep the meeting flowing.
Usually, comments are only, like what Frank is saying, once a motion is made and it's seconded, then you ask for a comment. It's not during your discussion, it's usually after a motion. So, you know what I mean, so if you're just having a
You're
comment.
saying after the second, but
Yeah.
before the vote.
Correct,
Right,
that's, yeah.
yes.
So for instance, tonight, while you guys looked at all those plans, of course, that's your discussion time, you know what I mean? And then, once the motion was made to accept it and it was second, you could say, is there any public comment? I'm not gonna, I mean, I don't know anybody's gonna have a comment on, you know, not, most of the time, there's not on a plan, and then there's not, and then you just move on. You know, that's your normal Robert's Rules of Order that most organizations follow, you know. So again, it wouldn't affect, I don't believe, your discussions on a plan, it would just affect a motion, that's all.
JD?
The problem wouldn't be like with a plan. The only time you get public comment would be if it directly affects somebody or somebody has a concern.
Right.
Or you might get good information from the audience, that does happen time to time as well.
Right.
The problem is not with the agenda. The agenda's fine, everybody agrees on the agenda. The problem comes in when, with the public comment, when it is regulated and restricted to where you have to have it spelled out in writing ahead of time and whatever. I mean, it's free speech. If you just let it flow, we've never had a problem, you know what I mean? And if somebody has a question or input or whatever, you know what I mean, you bring it up, it's worked pretty well the last couple meetings. It's when you try to restrict it, regulate it, and, you know, put a deadline on it that has created a problem.
Well, instead of being concerned about limiting public comment, I mean, can't we just set, you know, our meeting time's gonna be an hour and a half, and whatever we cover in that time is what's covered. It
So
doesn't matter
at
what.
the end of that hour and 30 minutes,
Or whatever.
we're adjourned.
time, right.
till the next meeting.
That makes sense. Okay, so we'll put out an agenda, we'll have the different topics. And then as we address the agenda, item by item, that what I'm seeing is, if I understand everyone correctly, is that as we address each item, there'll be a point during that item being addressed where the public would be able to have their comment.
Only if there's a motion,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Only if there's a mo-
Right. Only if there's a
motion.
motion, yeah. Like I said, it could be something that you guys just are gonna talk about, and, you know, like I said, but if there's a motion, yes, then you're usually supposed to ask for comment on the motion.
Because after all the comments have been made, then you vote on,
Yeah.
on the agenda item.
We just expanded the planning commission to the full audience, which is fine.
Well, I think my number is fairly accurate, that my